Hi guys, I'm Tanya, Book Fanatic, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about all of the books I want to read in September. The first book I want to talk about is a poetry collection, and it's called Every Watering Word by Tanya, Manning-Yarde. Tanya actually emailed me and asked if I wanted to review a copy of her book, and I said yes, and she sent me a digital reading copy, and I am currently reading it actually. I am not that far in, so I can't really say anything about the poetry yet. There were 2 poems so far I really enjoyed, but I will talk about that more in depth when I finally post my review. The only thing I know about it is that it has a lot of different topics in here. So far it has talked about the menstruation cycle, being a female, being black, because Tanya is a black woman, and I think it is very interesting so far. So yeah, I want to continue on with that in September. I realized I didn't even tell you the reading challenge of the month. I do this All About You Part 2 challenge, wherein every month I choose a new reading challenge and I pick books for that reading challenge. The reading challenge for this month is my best subject in school, and I went with high school for this, and my best subject in high school was English, so I did spell it out of that. I didn't have a book on my TBR for every single letter in the word English, but that doesn't really matter. I just picked around like 4 books to go with this challenge, and I left it at that because I don't think I'll even manage reading all of the books to spell out the whole word. Every watering word, it starts with an E, so it is the E in English. I didn't have anything for the N. For the G, I chose Geekerella by Poston. I do have this book, but it is at my boyfriend's place, so I can't really show you. Geekerella is about this girl who really loves this sci-fi show, and she, I think, falls in love with the new main character of the sci-fi show, but she doesn't really like the casting, and she also doesn't know she's talking to this actor. They fall in love over email, I think. So it is going to be very interesting because she doesn't like this actor, and she's obviously talking to the strange guy she really turns out to like, and then it turns out to be this actor she didn't really like in the first place. There's also a food truck in this, and it is obviously a retelling of Cinderella. But I have had this book on my TBR for quite a while. I was actually planning on reading this with my boyfriend, but we decided we would just read it separately, and that is exactly what I'm planning to do in September, and I hope I'll really like it. For the L, I went with Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This is a book in the Simon-verse, and I think the last book that Becky is going to come out with, it follows a side character from Simon-verse The Homo Sapiens Agenda called Leah. She's a bisexual fat teen, and this is all her story. I think it is a romance and also a coming-of-age story, but I already read who Leah is possibly going to fall in love with, and I thought it was very interesting to recently see the movie and then think about the love interest in this book. But I can't wait to read it and see how this all plays out in this. And I also hope actually this is going to be a movie at some point, because I really love Simon. Let's read this first and see if I actually enjoy it. For the I, I'm going to read Immortal by Rhodes. This is the 6th and final installment in the Fallen Kingdom series, and boy, am I happy to finally finish this series. The Fallen Kingdom series is a fantasy series set in a fantasy world, and it follows all of these different kingdoms on this same continent. It follows different characters from these different kingdoms and their dynamics really, and the whole plot playing out. Like, so much has happened at this point, I can't even talk about it anymore. I don't really like this series, but I am glad to finally finish it. I do want to know how everything turns out. I think that's a very strange thing because somehow I'm still invested, even though I don't like any of the characters. Even though the last installment I read was better than all of the installments before that, in my opinion. So I have some hope for this last book, but not too much, because I might be severely disappointed. And the last book on my TBR is for the H in English. I don't have anything for the S, and that is How to Be Bad by Lockhart and 2 other authors, I believe. I have no clue what this book is about, but I just bought it because it is by Lockhart. Lockhart is one of my favorite authors of all time, and I really wanted to read something from a backlist. It turned out to be this book, so I just have my handy dandy laptop here to tell you about the synopsis from Goodreads, which is always nice. The synopsis says, when you're tired of being good, sometimes you got to be a little bad. Jessie, Vix and Mel couldn't be more different. Jessie, a righteous southern gal who's as thoughtful as she is uptight, is keeping a secret that she knows will change her life forever. Vix is a wild child, seemingly cool, calm and collected on the outside, but inside she's furious at herself for being so anxious about a neglectful boyfriend. And Mel's a new girl in town. She's already been dismissed as just another rich kid, but all she wants is to get over some of her fears and find some true friends. But for all their differences, the girls discover they've got one thing in common. They're desperate to escape. Desperate to get the heck out of Niceville and discover their true badass selves. Even if it's just for the weekend. One borrowed car later, it's time to hit the road and head for Miami. Hearts will be broken, friendships will be tested, and a ridiculously hot stranger could change the course of everything. I think the 3 authors take on each one of the girls. The other authors are Myracle and Sarah Mlynowski. I have no clue how to pronounce that, but it will be in the description bar down below. This is what How to Be Bad is about, and it sounds pretty interesting. I'm not entirely sure about the synopsis, but because it is pretty vague, it just described all of the 3 girls and then one borrowed car later, and they're in Miami, and romance. Like, I still have no clue what this book is about, but I'm excited because it's in Lockhart. So this was my September TBR. Let me know down below what you're going to read in September. Did you read any of the books I just talked about? What do you think about them? I would love to know. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!